Welcome to Strangetown's local diner, built on the edge of a perfectly safe, not toxic man made pond, the one mysteriously created after the reactor leak flooded the old school playground. That's off the record. On the record, the diner has some of the best lake views in town. The fishing is amazing. Today, we're going to look at this build and the story behind it. Grab a seat, avoid drinking the water, and let's get started. Hello, most awesome Sims 2 fans. Welcome to the channel. I'm Tipsy Mommy Shark. The first thing you're going to see me add is water, a pond, an oasis in the desert, and then I wanted to add a diner, a classic greasy spoon. In our strange town, something simple is rarely as simple as it seems. I imagine a dusty roadside stop, a place that shouldn't feel alive anymore. Most of my inspiration comes from old Route 66 attraction, those faded roadside stops that are still hanging on by a thread. I found a small diner reference that I loved, but I knew our version had to feel more weathered, forgotten, like time had moved on without it. Then I came across a roadside pond attraction with a giant, I don't think it was a sculpture, I think maybe it was a slide, something for children that was rising out of a lake. It should have felt fun, but to me, it felt eerie, abandoned, like something left behind after everything had changed. And that's where my ideas shifted to something colder, off. It had almost a Chernobyl feel for it. I remember I had a Sims 4 to 2 conversion of a whale fountain, and that's where my lake turned toxic. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps the channel and lets me know it's okay to continue serving the fish special here at our diner. I love when I have a reference photo because then the build comes together relatively quickly. Now I needed a story because in Strangetown, I can't just build something and leave it at that. This version of Strangetown is slowly fading under the weight of a governmental cover-up following that alien crash. Over time, the military influence has tightened its grip, reshaping the town in quiet, almost invisible ways. In my strange town, it wasn't always like this. It was once cattle country, open land, and a sense of life stretched across the desert. After the crash, everything shifted, and the land began to dry out, and things disappeared, and the town started to feel like it was being erased. Please check for links in the description down below to catch up on our strange town story. The more I build, the more the world starts to contradict itself. Even now, Strangetown still shows signs that something much larger is happening beneath the surface. Water towers stand where they don't quite make sense. Nearby is a nuclear reactor. It sits like it still matters, like it's part of an active system no one fully understands anymore. That's what gets me thinking. A reactor doesn't just sit there. It needs constant cooling. When something goes wrong, water becomes critical. I was around during 3 Mile Island in 1979. That kind of event sticks with you. The idea that systems like this don't just fail quietly, even when people try to make them disappear from the record. In our story, there was an incident long ago. The official version says it was handled quickly and cleanly without an issue, but the infrastructure tells a different story. The cooling system needed water, more than the town realistically could supply. Over time, that supply was redirected, contained, but they lost control of it altogether. What used to be an elementary school playground was flooded and sealed off. That flooding eventually became what we know as our lake. Now it sits there, maintained, monitored, and officially declared safe. A quiet little feature in the town with great fishing and scenic views. The locals, they have other theories, but the mayor's office continues to assure us that the water has never caused any unusual side effects. This is one of those points in the builds that it wasn't any of the big things slowing me down. It was the small, stubborn details that never seem to behave the way you expect them to. Because we're in Strangetown and it's a desert, I wanted umbrellas at the table. Something to break up that harsh sun. I can picture it clearly. People sitting by our lake, trying to enjoy a meal while the sun is beating down on their heads. Heat hangs in the air. That kind of uneasy comfort that fits perfectly into this town. Nothing is lining up the way I wanted it to. Every umbrella that I had takes up 4 tiles, which meant it wouldn't fit properly in our tables, which I'm using. All of my tables with umbrellas in them were too nice looking. In hindsight, I should have just used them. The same thing happened when I went to place the awnings. I knew what I wanted, but finding the right ones took time, scrolling, testing, placing, deleting, and repeating. Then, when I started thinking about windows, I wanted to put sills underneath them, something that would make the building have a little bit more detail. It was something I noticed in 50s diners, but I had never used that before. That's really what slows down builds. It's never just building, it's searching. You go thinking you know exactly what you're going to use, and then halfway through, the building starts telling you it's something different. You try one object and then another, and then the direction shifts. Every little decision adds time, but it's those details that makes the lot feel real when it's finished. Even though it slows everything down, it's always worth it in the end. Please let me know in the comments down below if you end up getting sidetracked like this on your builds. I loved adding that old aluminum siding detail to the kitchen walls. Gave the whole space that classic old diner feel. Our decor is space theme bits. They are meant for the occasional visitor. The idea is the space still gets some traffic other than locals, just not the kind that stays long. Rare tourists passing through, truckers on long hauls, and maybe a scientist who definitely aren't supposed to stop here, but does anyway. Once the inside started to feel right, the real trouble started outside. Terrain work has never been my strong suit, and this is one of those moments where it showed. I wanted to build a small island in the middle of our pond to show what was left of the flooded playground. We needed it to anchor the whale and some other playground equipment. In my head, it was simple. In reality, chaos. The island started off as way too sharp, like spikes raising out of the water. Then somehow it shifted into it looked like the water level had dropped instead of the land rising. I kept trying to correct it, but it just kept becoming worse. Eventually, I made the call just to delete the lake entirely and rebuild it from scratch. This at least gave me some control back. I left a small island shape in the middle this time and rebuilt around it. Placing the whale and some playground equipment there gave that abandoned but still maintained feel I was looking for. Even then, I did try to adjust the size, and I made the island smaller at one point and changed my mind, adding grass and plants to the remaining edges. After the trouble with the terrain, it felt safer to have a little too much land rather than not enough. Because I wasn't designing anymore, I was just trying to outsmart that dang terrain tool. I went a little wild with the algae around the pond. I don't want this lot to crash, but I wanted it to feel maybe a little stagnant. I added pond plants too, just enough to make it look like nature's trying to take over or survive what this place has become. I spared you the long process. It was less than exciting. Thank you, editing. After that, I moved on to the parking lot using my favorite parking spaces. I generate cars in live mode, which I always find a little funny because sometimes the vehicles are way too nice for a rundown roadside diner like this. I still love them. I will put a link for these parking spots in the description down below. From there, it's about final touches, plants, scrubby desert grass, scattered rocks, anything that could help tie the environment together to feel neglected but maintain in that strange town kind of way. Then came the toxic barrels. Of course, there's toxic barrels, lots of them, hidden of course, placed right where they make the most sense or the least sense, depending on the way you look at it. Either way, they help sell that contaminated, questionable water quality atmosphere around the lake. Just a friendly warning from the diner. Maybe think twice before ordering that fish special I mentioned earlier. I worked very hard to hide all of those barrels. I mean, the government did. And I'm sure that fish special is just fine. This build is available for free on my Patreon page, no membership required. But be warned, it does include all of the toxic custom content you've seen throughout this build. There is, however, no custom content free version of this lot. Most of the live footage that you saw was recorded with this setup as a normal community lot, but I did also test this as a purchased restaurant lot, and it works surprisingly well. It fits right into the gameplay, even if the atmosphere is a little questionable once you start paying attention to what's in the water. One small note from testing: I recommend adding a bridge or an access point to the barrels. The Sims seem deeply offended that they can't get close to them and wave their arms hollering because they can't get near them. Aside from that, I think it's a great addition to Strange Town. It adds a bit of story and mystery and enough chaos for it to belong. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any interesting build idea or fixes for my Sims who are determined to visit my toxic industrial waste hazard. Please take a moment to like and subscribe for more Sims 2 content. Thank you so much for watching. Happy simming and bye-bye.